Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Scorpio Esports channel for the third and final leg of the VPRL Series 11 Spa 24 Hour. I am Scorpio Blade. We should be looking to get going here in just a few moments for this final stint. Of course, for those of you who are not aware of how this event has been playing out, all of these drivers over the course of the last 3 weeks have partaken in, or leading up to this, two 40-minute races over the past 2 Mondays. Qualifying was held on the first of which then set the grid for that first race, and then it has been finishing order to set the grid for each subsequent race. And so now we come into this here finale, 40-minute race, Wid leading by quite a large margin at the end of the last leg. We'll start from pole here today. Alec will start second, James third, Darken fourth, Super fifth, War sixth, John seventh, Snipes eighth, Todd will start 9th, and Jones will start 10th. I believe we are waiting on 1 or 2 more to join us here. If they are unable to join us, however, we will be getting started in about a minute's time. So it should be a very exciting race. We've got a quite strong headwind coming down the back straightaway, so overtakes into Lake Calm should be a little bit easier for these drivers to make, as that seems to be one of the better overtaking opportunities on this circuit. If I can figure out how to chat. There we go. And we will be getting going in just a few moments. So it should be a good one. Get a track map up here so that way I can remember the corner names. Lobby's going live, and we will be ready to go in just a moment. Of course, the endurance layout, or, well, I should say, the endurance pit lane in use for this event. So drivers will be starting immediately heading down into Eau Rouge for this rolling start. Again, Wid on pole position. I apologize for completely butchering his name last time out. Regardless, we are underway here at the Circuit Spa Francorchamps. It is Wid from Alec from James leading the way up through the first couple corners. Alec starting on the soft compound tire, so he'll be looking to make a move immediately, and already onto the back bumper of Wid as he defends to the inside. Alec gonna hold him to that inside lane, darts back over to the racing line at the last moment. Gonna look around the outside. Can he make the move happen? No, unable to. Despite being on the better tire, James with a look up the inside, unable to make the move stick. And then it is Darken from Super, War still holding on to their respective positions off the initial start. A little bit of a sideways action coming out of Russell's. That name I think needs to be updated. The track of many different corner names. There's not one track map that seems to have completely no two track maps seem to be the same, unfortunately, so I apologize if I'm butchering names. Super had a look at Darken, but unable to make a move happen. Darken and Super both starting on the soft compound tire for this initial stint. Of course, we're expecting all of these drivers to make what will likely be a two-stop here if they are using the softs. Of course, last time out we had drivers starting on intermediate. Super goes out wide, a little bit of contact from War. He will rejoin the circuit and hold on to it. And will hold on to that 5th place position now. John looking at War further back. Meanwhile, back toward the front, it's James and Darkin going at it into turn 1 here, side by side. As they come around to start lap 2 here, James gets the run out. Darkin thought about trying the crossover. He's going to slot back in line, and now he'll think about trying to set up the move down into Les Combes. Through a Rouge and Radiance, completely flat out in these cars. Very easy to do. Darkin looking to get the run in the slipstream. It has a 20 feet per second headwind down into this corner, and yet he can't quite keep up. James looks like he's got a little less downforce on that thing than it seems. Back toward the front, it is Wid still leading the way, 1.2 clear from Alec, despite being on the harder compound tire. Should bode very well for him, if that is the case. Alec really unable to make up much ground at this point in time. James looks to be on the attack as well, starting to close back in on Alec. Darkin still running handily in 4th, and then it is Super already 2.5 back. It is actually War snuck up the inside going through Blanchimont. Or is that Blanchimont or Pouan? I'm getting names mixed up. No, that is Pouan. Blanchimont is the final fast corner. I apologize about that, folks. Either way, War now up into the top 5. Super still hot on his tail. As the field now charges what through is actually Blanchimont. It looks like we've got a brewing battle for second here. James has closed up right to the back bumper of Alec. Where can he think about a move? Pretty even tire wear between the two drivers. Though being on lap 3 now, it shouldn't make too much of a difference here. We're expecting these drivers to get just north of 20 laps completed during this race. They got about 19 completed in the last stint, though that was at night in much cooler conditions and with rain to start. James charging down toward Les Combes, closes in but unable to make the move happen. Just not quite able to get the run he needed out of Radeon. Both drivers still staying relatively close to Wid up front. Keeping them honest for now, but again, we're expecting those soft tires to drop off much sooner than that medium. So all Wid has to do is get to that point, and he should be able to hold on to that lead pretty handily. Still only 3/10 separating the two. James with a little bit of lag spike, that's why you saw him run wide there. Looking further down the grid, it is War still running 5th. John has now jumped up to 6th. Super has dropped back yet another position and might lose 7th here to Snipes if he isn't careful. It looks like just about everyone in the field running on the softs except for Wid up front. It is still Alec leading James by about half a second. And it is Darkin, War, John, and yes, everyone is running the softs. The only one who isn't is Wid up front, our leader. So a very strong start for him if he's able to hold on to this lead on the harder tire. And looks to be doing so. He's not rocking it, he's not pulling away like he was at the start of the previous stint, or at the start of the stint last week. But he is definitely still able to match the pace of the drivers behind them behind him despite the tire disadvantage. James with another strong run down the back straightaway. Just unable to get close enough through Eau Rouge and Radeon. If he can stay within about 4/10, I believe, coming out of turn 1, he might have a better chance. Though he's looking very squirrely on throttle, coming out of that long downhill right-hander before they get to No Name and now through Pouon. Dropping back to about 8/10 now. So he should get a little bit more clean air on the nose of the car, which should help. But he's going to have to really rely on that slipstream all the way through Stavelot and down to Blanchimont if he wants to be able to close in 8/10 now as he rounds Stavelot and down this very much isn't straight, but still a very easy flat-out section for these cars. So impressive through that corner. Very easily flat, but just marvels of engineering, these LMP1 machines. Of course, everyone's still driving the same car, but it is up to the drivers to be able to tune and hone in their own machines to their driving style. Wood still leading, but has really only gained about 1/10.5 since the last time we checked in on this gap to the lead. James has, of course, dropped back a little ways, but he should be able to close back in potentially here. And it's about an equal gap back to Darkin as the top 4 continue to break away. And then it is John with a 2.5 back to War, who has Super all over his back bumper. We might be 3 wide coming down this front back straightaway here. War defending in the middle of the track. Snipes looking for a move up the inside. A little bit of contact made between Super and Snipes. They're going to hold on to it for now. And Snipes is going to get out onto the AstroTurf. Can he save it? No! Hard in the inside wall. And that will be big damage for him. Let's get a look at that replay here. Coming out of Melody, just lost it on the grass, just all over the AstroTurf, unable to hold on to it, and spun it back round. He has dropped down to 9th. Going to be on a bit of a recovery drive now. So Jones is now up into the 8th place position, as this trio is now a bit more spread out. War now with a 8/10 advantage over Super. And then it is Todd bringing up the rear of the field still. Back up front, Wid still pulling away, now 1.8 clear. So he's gained another couple tenths. Alec running second, has pulled another 10th on James, who's still holding about a 1.4 gap back to Darkin as these 4 continue to round the circuit, and it looks like cloud cover is starting to come over the circuit. So now the question starts becoming, do we start to see a little bit of potential for rain? I will say there, I didn't notice anything on the radar, but of course that only shows the hour prior to the start of the session, or the in-game hour to the start of the session. So just keep an eye on the moisture indicator, bottom left of the screen between the race timer and the tire wear indicator. That will be the first signs of any potential moisture falling onto the circuit. James has had a very strong opening couple sectors here, and has actually closed it back in within 8/10 of Alec up front. I apologize, a little notification, just got to make sure Everything's all good. It is. 6/10 now. Gap from James to Alec. Slowly closing that gap in, and actually pulling away from Darkin as well in the process. Near now approaching 12 minutes through into this race. James deep on the brakes. He's going to have to get that slowed down. Very lucky to not make contact with Alec. But that's cost him a whole heap of time. Up to potentially battle for that position. He's going to have all that work to do again, as now Darkin is going to close into about a second here. And John first into the pits here. If I can get the camera on him. First car into the pits, coming off the soft compound tires. So I would assume he's not anticipating rain anytime soon. He's back up front. Wid still pulling away. And James with a huge step of oversteer. What on earth happened to him? We're going to wait on this battle. Before we show the replay, he's able to hold on to third place for now, but he had a huge slide coming through Lake Calm. Looks like he'll be able to hold on to it. Let's take a look, see what happened. James with the purple sector coming into Lake Calm. Just, very strange. Just got up on the curb and it looked like the little bollard just kicked him out. Very interesting. Now I will say, as we were cutting away from the cutting away to the replay, I don't know if anyone else noticed. Did John pit on? He is on the intermediates. That's very early to do, unless the indicator's broken. It could very well explain why James is sliding around as much as he is. Todd is also pit onto the intermediates. None of the leaders pitting yet for rain. Might just be a very early stop. For the two drivers further back. I hope the indicator is not broken. That's going to make my life a lot more difficult to try to call this. Everyone's still staying out for now. 14 and a half minutes into this final leg of the race. James much better this time through this very technical section. Up onto the AstroTurf again, but able to hold on to it for now. Where do we start to think about rain? Annoyingly, I don't think I can pull up a radar of my own. No indication of rain on circuit as John gets overtaken by Snipes. So that should be a pretty clear-cut indication that there isn't water on the circuit yet. I would imagine the radar was showing them the first sign. There it is! You can see the moisture indicator showing water on the circuit now. And you can see the rain starting to come down. Oh boy, this is going to come down thick and fast here. We'll watch the leaders. Do any of them jump into the pits now? No, they're going to stay out. They don't think it's going to be a strong enough shower. None of the leaders have pit. We have a battle for fifth. War and Super going at... No, sorry, that is War and Mr. Jones going at it. Do any of them jump into the pit lane? Yes. Both of them do. Super stays out for another lap. He thinks he can make it back before the rain really starts to kick in. I wouldn't be too sure about that if it gets any stronger. Snipes still out on softs. John will now start to feel the benefit of the intermediates. Of course, inters don't really become the preferred tire until that indicator gets above that first line you see. It's getting very close to it, but I think we're going to need a little more rain before we get to the point where inters are really mandatory and these dry tires start falling off and become undrivable. Still half a lap for our leaders to get through before they can get back to the pit lane. Wid leading the way now by 3.5 seconds just about. Alec closing in a bit. James slowly trying to close that gap back down after his foibles down at Les Combes a few laps ago. And it looks like the rain has come to a stop here. They have cleared this first mini shower. Certainly it came down pretty quickly at that one corner, but doesn't look like it's gonna clip much else of the circuit. 18 minutes down, 22 to go. James jumps into the pits. We'll see what he goes to here. So that will free up Darkin to try to close after the top two. Now, Widge should be on the preferred tire for the field here. Those mediums not reaching their fall-off point just yet. Those softs have seen their best. Most of everyone has pit for inters further back. Super has stayed out. James just refueling for the time being. We'll see what tire he goes to in a moment. He will definitely come out ahead of Mr. Jones here, who has gone on to another set of softs, as has Snipes. War is on intermediates. And James will exit the pits on mediums. So potentially going to try to go to the end here, as long as there isn't any more rain. War has come back into the pits. He realizes that his gamble onto the intermediates has not paid off. Highly unfortunate timing for him, as it looks like Todd is about to go a lap down here. This could provide Alec an opportunity here. If Wid continues to get held up, he's already lost about half a second already, sitting behind Todd. I don't know if he's just hesitant to try making a move on a potentially damper part of the circuit, as he will jump into the pits now. I don't believe there is a required tire to be used for this event, so could be going on to a second set of mediums here to go to the end. Darkin now jumps into the pits as well, pitting off the soft compound tire, as Alec will stay out yet another lap. So evidently Alec has made the softs last for what is, if you're going to pit once, he could pit for another set of softs as long as there isn't any more rain. Of course, the longer he runs into this stint, the easier it will be on those softs that he will pit onto. Super stays out yet again, and Wid will come out now on a set of another set of mediums. We'll look to see what the gap is back to James once timing and scoring evens out here. Looks like it will be about 5 or so seconds between these two. The first two cars who have made a pit stop. John is into the pits to get off the mediums, or to get off the intermediates, excuse me. Alec with a 25-second lead over Super, who has a further 12 back to Wid, excuse me. Alec now catching up to the back of Todd here. Does he decide to make the pit stop now? I mean, there's no reason to not to at this point. And he does. Alec will come into the pits for his first stop of the day. And what should be a full tank of fuel and another set of softs so that he can push flat out to the end here. We will watch as Super comes through. Bingo fuel for him as well. And he does come into the pits. Wid now making his way through the bus stop chicane. He will very easily jump Super in the pits. Alec in the process of refueling. It might be potentially close between these two. Wid now making his way through the source. Alec out of the pits, only took 90% of the full tank. And Wid will exit the pits, or will pass by the pit lane now. You saw Alec just further back. This could be actually be fairly close between Alec and James here. James is going to have the run. The undercut has worked for him now. But Alec is on a set of softs. And with more fuel to use. So this should be a fairly easy overtake, I would imagine, for Alec to get back past James. The question at that point will then be, does he have the pace to chase after Wid? Under a second between these two. Darkin a further 4.5 seconds back off of that battle for second. Mr. Jones running in 5th place. Good showing from him. About 10 seconds back off of Darkin for now. With Snipes hot on his heels. Although Snipes will likely need to make another pit stop before the end of this. Mr. Jones might need to do a bit of tire conservation, but should be able to get to the end. Super will be going to the end from here. War will be as well. As it looks like John's been into the wall at some point recently. Unfortunate for him. Damage repairs itself, and he will continue on his way. And then Todd brings up the rear, running 10th. So it is still Wid in the lead by about 5.8 seconds. Question, of course, is James catching? The answer is no. He's lost 0.6 to Wid on that lap. So Alec needs to get around James here if he wants any shot at trying to battle for the win here. Climbing the hill, now down the back straightaway. Going to use the slipstream to his advantage. The headwind has died down a little bit here. Snipes into the pits. Under 0.6 now. Now, of course, with this tire advantage that Alec has, we saw these two were fairly evenly matched on the same tire compound. I would imagine it should be a fairly easy overtake for Alec once he is presented with an opportunity to make the pass. The question, of course, then becoming where? Overtaking or track position seemingly at a premium in this event, as we've seen so far. Not a lot of overtaking happening, at least at the sharp end of the field. We've, of course, seen quite hectic battles further back, as it looks like we have suffered a DNF. John has retired from the session. So unfortunate scenes from him and that crew. So we are down to 9 drivers left in the running. Alec looks to have dropped a couple tenths in the second half of the lap, but is starting to close back in now. James, I think, like we said earlier in the broadcast, running a slightly lower downforce setup, which is allowing him to kind of run away from Alec, it seems, at least on the straights. It could also be he's using a little more fuel right now. But Alec has stayed within about 4 tenths here. He might be able to get a run through Eau Rouge and Radeon. James was a little bit wide. Can Alec make the move here? 7 seconds back off the lead, 2 tenths off of James. Does he look to the inside? He does. He's going to try it under the brakes, side by side. They're going to hold it side by side through these next couple of corners. James out onto the AstroTurf, still side by side. But James will just eke ahead, coming into the downhill right before they get to No Name. So able to defend the position. And they have lost another second to Wid in their battle. Just under 12 minutes remaining. I think at this point it will be pretty safe to say these two are now just battling to see who will be able to bring it home second, as once again looking to sweep the event. Wid now with a 7.5 second lead. Although it looks like he might be in a bit of a fuel conservation mode at the moment, losing about half a second on that straightaway alone. Could that be a bit of a wrench in the works for him? This is the line now. Previous lap was a 2:09. This time around was a 2:02.1. He is definitely in fuel conservation mode. Meanwhile, James and Alec. Alec, the best of the three in terms of tires and fuel. But those tires will eventually start to fade off. Does still have the fuel advantage to use, so he can use the higher engine mode, which might need to be a saving grace. He's a little bit further back this time, so I don't think he'll be able to attempt to move on James this time down into Lake Holm, and no. Holding about 4 tenths back as they remain about 7 seconds off the lead here. Darkin has actually slowly begun to close in on these two as well through their active battling. The fight for the win, it's getting to the point where it's becoming out of reach for Alec. But it's not impossible just yet. But in order for it to still be possible, he's going to need to get around James fairly quickly here. James with a little bit of a slide on the exit coming out of Stavelo. 4.5 tenths. Does Alec get the run into the bus stop, or does he wait for the run down into Lake Holm again? 2.5 tenths back. He's going to sit in line and try to set it up. I'd say rather smartly. 8 seconds off the lead with just under 9 minutes remaining. I think at this point they have decided this is a battle for second. And so now they are just playing it safe to make sure they can fight each other to the end here. Alec looking to get under 4/10 here. Up Eau Rouge and does. Exits riding on with a great head of steam here. This is going to be a great chance for him. Under 3/10, under 2/10. James defending to the inside. Alec goes even lower. Under the brakes, Alec gets the nose in. James trying to fight it back. Still clean racing between the two of them. Great racing to see these two leave each other's space like that. As Alec able to keep it up the inside through this long right-hander. Still side by side, James trying to keep the nose into No Name. But it's not going to work. Too tight of a line, and Alec will clear into second place. Now, can he chase after Wid? Potentially for the win. 9 seconds back with 7.5 minutes to go. And tires will be starting to fall off, and Wid has actually managed to save quite a good amount of fuel while those two had been battling. If Alec was in a position after his pit stop where he could push flat out to the end, Wid has now saved enough fuel where he can go flat out to the end here as well. And you can see that in his lap time. Back to 2:08, fastest lap of the race. We'll see what his lap time is across the line here. Even faster, 2:0631. Excuse me. I'm adding 6/10 to his time. I apologize. Or 6 seconds to his time. I apologize. Alec now about a second lead over James as he exits the source. Darkin has closed to just about 3 seconds back off of that battle for second. But I don't think he'll be closing in much more than that now, as his tires will be starting to fall off here as well. Jones still running now 15 seconds off the back of Darkin. Super still running in 6th. And then it is War in 7th, Snipes 8th, and Todd rounds out the field in 9th, as it looks like he'll be about to go a lap down here. Once again, Wid looking up the inside here, and Todd is going to let him have it. It's a good show from him to not hold up the leader as much as he did on the previous occasion. Under 8 seconds for the lead, but now 5.5 minutes remaining. We'll see if Wood decides to play any games potentially, in terms of if he decides to wait for time to expire, come to the line. I wouldn't imagine he'll do so unless he gets very close on fuel. But with a over 7.5 second advantage back to Alec, he shouldn't need to worry about that too much. Let's run on board with our race leader here. Go for a lap with him with now 5 minutes remaining. See if he's going to be on a bit more of a push lap now that he's clear of the lap traffic. Into the source using all the apex curb and the exit curb. Coming down now, charging down to Eau Rouge. Keeping it nice and tight to the pit wall. And he'll use all of the entry curbs, staying away from that second apex. Making sure he keeps the back end in check, as he will charge down into Les Combes. 185 miles an hour down the straightaway. Holding it in third gear through this very technical section as he now charges downhill. Very tricky corner this, trying to keep it nice and tight, and does. Setting himself up beautifully for No Name here. Just misses the apex curb, but that's not too much of a time loss for him. Still pulling away from Alec further behind. Now drop a gear, kiss the apex once, twice through Pouan. A little bit of exit curb for good measure. Now down into these beautiful Fenya chicane. That was Jones, it looked like, jumped into the pit lane, so Super now up into 5th, by the way. Out through Stavelo using all of the curb available to him. Another purple sector for him. Of course, that curb not available, and he picks up the time penalty on it. Just got a little bit too wide. Of course, that curb no longer that big anymore in real life. But he will bring it back home to the start-finish line. Unable to count this toward a fastest lap, unfortunately. A little bit of a slide of oversteer on exit coming out of the bus stop chicane. Crosses the line at a 2:01.7. Tire wear probably playing a factor, and maybe a slightly lower engine mode just to play it safe. As we should have now 2 laps to go here. He will serve that half-second penalty next time coming out of Stavelo, which should bring Alec to potentially within 7 seconds of him. But of course, far too little time to do anything about it. As Alec now comes up to the back of Todd, the back marker. Looks to the inside. Todd's not going to find him on that. And he will clear into clean air once again. James still holding on to that 3rd place position for now. Darkin running now 5 seconds arrears. Tires really starting to fall off for him, unfortunately. Super now, of course, running in the 5th place position. Inherited that after Mr. Jones had to pit for fresh tires. Unfortunately, unable to make it to the end. War now back into the pits as well. Unfortunately, underfueled the car for himself. But he still has a pretty sizable gap back to Todd here, so he should not lose that 8th place position. And unless there are any last-minute pit stops for emergency fuel, that should be it. With now under a minute and a half remaining. Yeah, he's not going to have a gap to play any games with, potentially waiting at the line. Wid will exit the bus stop chicane for what will be the white flag here for the Spa, quote-unquote, 24-hour. It has been 3 40-minute sprints here with accelerated time to simulate a full 24-hour. We've seen rain, we've seen adverse weather conditions. It's been a fairly entertaining event, I must say. But none of that has been able to faze this man here, as he has done absolutely nothing but dominate throughout the course of the event. Qualified on pole, won the first stint, won the second stint, both of which by sizable margins back to the field. This time, the field was able to get a little bit closer, if you count under 8 seconds close. But none of that was able to overcome the sheer domination that this driver has been able to show. Jones crosses the line to finish 6th officially. Snipes will bring it home 7th eventually, as he crosses the line now. Next car across the line should be War further back. And then it will be this man here, Wid, bringing it home to round out the field. James has been able to close in the gap by quite a margin, but he is damn near out of fuel and very wide in his attempt to try to chase down Alec. But none of it matters to him. Wid will exit the bus stop for the final time to cross the line and win the VPRL Spa 24-hour, setting the fastest lap in the process. Alec will come home 2nd, a great showing from him. James once again on the podium, finishing 3rd. And then it is Darkin pushing Todd out of the final chicane to come home fourth. And all that leaves is Super running in the 5th place position to round out our top 5. Good result from him. Let's bring it home. And that will do it here for VPRL Series 11. I wish I could tell you what the plans are for Series 12. I can't say I know entirely what the plan is for that event. I believe it will be some sort of endurance racer on some of the Japanese and Asian tracks. Assuming that we are still following the American to Europe to Japanese fields. Of course, the series before this was GT3 at various American circuits. But of course, that will do it for us here this evening. I've been Scorpio Blade. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Be sure to join the VPRL Discord. Check out when Series 12 registration goes live, and of course, what those event details include. And then, of course, we have, or should have, the Scorpio Esports Classic Formula Series, or one-off events, I guess, should be the old Honda F1 car at the Nürburgring this Saturday, as long as we have attendees show up. So stay tuned on that one. I will unfortunately not be able to broadcast it, but I wish everyone the best of luck for that. And then, of course, end of the month should be the return of the Scorpio Super Formula Series, coming off their summer break. Should be a fun one, that. And that, I believe, covers just about everything. So thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you for whatever the next event happens to be. Have a good night, everyone.